Hi, I'm Linnie Schell. I was the director and I also acted as the cat in Last Train to Brooklyn. Last Train to Brooklyn is an improvised storytelling feature where we follow the creators of this story throughout New York City, which is their home, to improvise this story about loss and creativity within a group of bandmates who are fleeing from the devil, filmed on the actual New York City subway. So an actual play is watching people, and hear me out, actually play a game. In our case, we used Last Train to Bremen, which is an incredible TTRPG, to tell the story of Last Train to Brooklyn. So we played this game by breaking down, you have players and then characters. And so the players, which I was one of, become and embody these characters and tell the story. So it's kind of like, imagine sitting around a campfire telling a scary story, except all of you are telling the story together. Each game of Last Train to Bremen follows a set pattern and a set series of rounds. And so it was really easy to envision how that was going to look in the actual Last Train to Brooklyn piece, because we had so many moving pieces of locations and subways. And so if the game had been any less precise, we would not have been able to plan effectively for what we were actually going to do. It had to be people that we had worked with pretty extensively, just because there were so many unknowns in the project. And I think with tabletop and with that kind of improvisational storytelling, the more complex the thing that you are doing is, the more you need to put work in somewhere to create that trust and that instinct with each other. I have been lucky enough to have been playing with a group of folks the past couple of years pretty regularly, and as I knew that within that group there were people that we had already told stories with that were similar in some way, that had been where we were embodying characters that backstabbed or were kind of mean or nasty. And so looking for folks who that was really fun to do with, who also felt comfortable being in the subway and kind of that unpredictability of ness. So it was really just knowing people, both personally and just the things that they wanted to create together. We did a lot of pre-production visits. I took the cast through a bunch of the areas as much as possible. So things that were location-based, we were on the subway, we practiced the dice games on the subway. We had a session zero, so we would sit down and talk about our characters, and so there was a kind of continuous conversation about the characters we were going to be playing and how they interplayed with each other. But the game that we were using to tell this story with, so the collection of rules and storytelling prompts that make up the Last Train to Bremen, the way the game is designed, it happens as you play it. So there wasn't that much pre-planning we could do. So we selected our characters, kind of figured out some relationships, but what you see us playing and figuring out and grappling with in Last Train to Brooklyn, the actual piece, that is how that went. We did not do any of that beforehand. Because there were so many secrets and things being withheld in the game itself, it felt like something that practicing would take a lot of that joy out of. And so I spent a lot of time focusing more on how everything else would go, the transitions, the being on the train, that kind of thing, as opposed to practicing the story itself. Spoilers, there are spoilers here. Flee if you have not seen this, because these are great. I'm so proud of the moments where the camera is revealed to be the devil. That was so much fun. The camera work was incredible. The music was incredible. Our score underlaid everything so perfectly, and our end credits song was great. I'm just proud that I got to work with all these creative people. I want people to walk away thinking, I could make something like this with my friends, because you can. It just takes way more work than you think it will. So if you're down for that, do it. And the second is, look at my friends. Aren't they talented? Aren't they great? Don't I work with the best people? Look at this thing I made to brag about how great they are. And then I think also just a really great story about both the highs and lows of working with a group of wonderful creative people. You can find me anywhere at Linnie Schell, and then I'm also the creative producer at Twice Rolled Tales, so you can see me in many things that we do there. Go check out Last Train to Brooklyn. It is wonderful and fantastic and a little bit heartbreaking, and you're gonna love it.